Okay, we're going to talk about our site plan considerations. And when we talk about the site, we're actually talking about the piece of land where we're going to be building our house or our building. That's called the site. So these are some things we're going to consider here. You don't need to write all these down, but you're going to need to take notes as we go through this. One thing to consider is winter versus summer. We're going to be building our house in an Austin or near Austin location. So we obviously are going to be more concerned with summer than winter, though we do have winters here that are pretty cold. So we're going to be looking at especially being sure that we put up deciduous trees for the summer. Deciduous trees are trees like oak trees that lose their leaves in the winter. We want to put these up on the west side of the house so that because the sun sets in the west and the hottest time is the afternoon when the sun is coming from the west. This means that during the summer months, these trees will be shading our house and keeping it cooler. However, in the winter, when the trees have lost their leaves, when it's colder, those trees will allow the afternoon sun to come in and heat the house up. We want to be sure that in the summer, our trees are on the west side especially so that they are blocking the sun. Here's these same deciduous trees in the winter where they're allowing the sun in. During the summer, or during the winter, these trees will maybe letting in extra light up here. We're not going to really talk about the prevailing winds yet because that's not really a big concern because again, here in Texas, we're more concerned with the summer than the winter. But if you were building something in a northern area, we'd be more concerned with the wind protection causing the houses to get very cold in the winter. In that case, we would be adding conifers, which are our pine trees, because they hold the leaves, or our cedar trees, they hold the wind, and we'd be concerned with putting those on the side where the wind is going to be hitting our houses. We're not as concerned about that here in Austin, so we're not going to worry about that right now. Our houses are not going to have a garage on them, but if we were putting a garage, we'd want to put the garage on the side to create a buffer for winds coming at the house. If we're concerned with winter winds causing the house to cool down a lot, we put the garage on the side where the wind's coming from so that it's hitting the garage and not cooling the main living areas. And we look at cross breezes. We don't want to have the wind hitting the house in the winter and cooling it down. So again, berms are like these little hills of dirt. And then these conifers, and they put them up to cut down on the wind. Notice this is the side where the wind is coming from, and they have very few windows here because this is the side we don't want to have cool down so much. It can also be used, these kind of berms and lack of windows on the side could also be used if this was a very busy road here to cut down on unwanted noise. Also, sometimes they put up solid walls or fences. We're not going to be putting a fence on our house for Habitat for Humanity because it's not a requirement for Habitat for Humanity. But if you're doing some other kind of residential construction, you would. You might want to think about what kind of views you want out of your house. When you think about your client survey and what kind of people are living in your house, you put together their interests and such. Are these the kind of people who would be interested in seeing sunrise in the morning? Do they have jobs where they're up early? Are they someone who might enjoy the sunsets in the evening? What side would they maybe want to look at? Our house is going to be in basically a residential area, so we're not going to have a lot of hills. But if we were creating something in a country setting with more hills in it, we would be concerned. Even around Austin, many of the areas are very hilly as you go out to West Austin and out toward the hill country over by the lake, where this might be a consideration around here. And then if there's existing features. As I said, our house is actually going to be in a subdivision location, but if there was already existing houses, trees, creeks, etc., we'd want to consider that when we were designing our house. I'm going to be giving you the site plan for our actual house, but these are the kind of things you might consider when you're starting to build one. You don't want to build on a steep slope. Where's the winds coming from? Where's the southern side, etc. Landscaping makes a difference as well. When you start making these decisions, what kind of climate are you working in? Are native plants? We know that Austin often has drought situations, and we're concerned about that. What do you need to do? Where are your utilities located? We are going to have those on our building plans, and I'm going to show you those on our plans when we look at them. And you are going to have to be tying your house into the utilities, so it is a consideration. For instance here, where is the actual lines for how far back we have to build? Just because we own the property doesn't mean we can actually build the house right on the property line. There's an amount you have to set back. And again, we're going to look at that on our actual project site when I pull that up in a minute on another video. Sometimes you can't build in an area even though you own it because it's a protected wetland, drainage easements, etc. Ingress and egress are two words you're going to become very familiar with. Take a second and you need to write these down in your notes. Ingress is how you get into a building or into a site. That's the driveway in this case, or it's a door leading into a house. Egress is leaving the house or leaving the property. And if we're talking about a commercial site, it might be a whole parking lot that we're coming in and out of. In the case of our house, we're going to be putting a driveway in. Sometimes you only have certain areas where you can go in and out due to fire hydrants, stop signs, that sort of thing. And in other cases, it's because the zoning in the city has said these are the only places where you can do it. So you have to keep that in mind as well.